Alright, so let's review this card at Wembley Stadium, or at least the card as we have it, because subject to change. Obviously, we've got Better Than You, Baby, going over Aussie Open, and this is because they'll get along to begin with, because if they lose, there's tension in the ranks, and then what happens for the world title match? Everything's got to be copacetic going into the world title match, otherwise that doesn't make any sense. So they win the ROH titles, and then Adam Cole does everything possible, even cheats to win, to try to beat Max, and Max is like, what? And he has to cheat, and then they have a battle of cheating. It wouldn't surprise me if they both cheat. Max is better at cheating than Adam Cole, and then Adam Cole turns on Max because he's pissed that MJF cheated. Uh, it could be possible that MJF plays it clean for once, and Adam Cole cheats, and he's like, "What? I expected you to cheat. Like, don't isn't that what you do?" And MJF lowers his guard down, and then Adam Cole cheats. Something like that's gonna happen, and then they're the tag champs, and they have to get along, and they can't. Shenanigans ensue. I look forward to that. So that's going to be the bookends of the show. We've already covered this. We know what's going to happen. This because of the incident with the gun. I'm a little bit worried here. If you guys don't know, um, Cash Wheeler, and of course, it would happen in Florida, um, my adopted state, unfortunately. But Cash Wheeler was involved in a road rage incident and allegedly pulled a gun. So everybody now thinks that the Young Bucks are going to go over. However, going off of the promos, Young Bucks think they gave themselves an out. They said they are quote unquote made men and do not need to win this match because their legacy will be defined as the people who brought FTR over, because they basically pulled the EVP card rank, which is exactly the reason why they are nothing. It's creative control, and this is why you can't give them EVP status. My heart and my gut says to pick FTR here. I really want to. There's a cloud hanging. As far as the legal stuff, I actually did take some law in college. It was family law, not criminal, but Dax can't just say what gun. Because if the guy saw it well enough to describe it, and he does have one registered to him in his name, or they find one in a search somewhere, that's all you need to get convicted. So it could be a problem. So I'm 50-50 on that, but it's got to be, right? It's got to be FTR. Because this allows the Elite to get into a feud with Adam Cole because he's now a bad guy and turns on his friends, and that's where this is inevitably heading, I think. Adam Cole is the key to this decision, not the gun charge. Nobody's talking about that. FTR goes over. This is a given. CM Punk goes over. This one, Will Ospreay goes over. Contract coming up. He said it himself. Jericho's got to put people over. Will Ospreay's in his hometown. Give the man his due. Don't be Jarrett Hogan here. Just have a good showing. There's some issues with Jericho Appreciation Society, Sammy getting his back, whatever. Let him pin him. Jericho pins Ospreay, but nobody sees it because of the cheating and whatever, and then let Ospreay get a dirty victory, but it's a victory nonetheless. This way they both look good, and Jericho can begin that face turn. I think he's headed that way, and Ospreay, we've already seen, he's definitely heel. So he'll be cheered in London, but he's definitely heel. So he wins the match. Ospreay goes over Jericho, and this has the sleeper. This has the match I'm gonna put as a sleeper match, as basically stealing the show. It's gonna be a top 3 match on this show. potentially number one. FTR and the Bucks. The Bucks want to drive that match down. They want to have a 0-star match. FTR wants to have a 5-star match. I think it'll average out to about a 3-star match. Samoa Joe and Punk, they're going to have an amazing match. And of course, MJF and Adam Cole, they're going to have an amazing match. They've already had one. How do you top it? I don't know. But those are going to be the 3.5 matches, because I'm going to put Young Bucks and FTR as a half match because the Young Bucks just can't wrestle. But if FTR can keep them in the ring and stop them from doing too many high spots, it could be okay. So, whatever. This is a match that nobody wants to see. It's going to suck. But the AEW crowd will cheer for it because it's going to be too much high spots galore. If this was Takeshita versus Omega alone, I would pop for this match. I don't know why this is it, but whatever. You get the Golden Lovers and Hangnail, which nobody wants to see, against Golden Elite, which have proven to have a classic in the best 2 out of 3 falls, and Takeshita, which can work. But maybe they just don't trust Takeshita right now. This is a way to get everybody in the show and their feet wet due to time constraints. It is what it is. And because it's a 3-way match, nobody on the right-hand side of the screen has to take an L. It's just a matter of who wants to get pinned here. So, Kenny Omega and the boys are going over. Got to send the fans home happy. But it's a worthless match that doesn't mean anything, so that's why it's okay to give it to the faces. This one right here, this is, I think, pretty easy to call Saraya, because Toni Storm is acting like a queen. She's getting more and more diva-like, and she thinks that title belongs to her. And one of two things is going to happen. It's really early in Sheeta's reign. Taking the title off her right now does not make sense. So one of two things has to happen. DMD's just in there because of her. She has to be. She's earned that spot. And you're paying her back for 4 years of loyalty, building the division, making the name. And Sheeta's getting the belt now because she was the pandemic champion, and you're repaying her. Giving Sheeta the win makes the most logical sense, but you never know with Toni. What is going to end up happening is Saraya's going to go for a pin, and she's at home, and she's going to get cheered, and Toni Storm is going to feel betrayed. And that's going to end up becoming the beginning of the end for the Outcast. The question is that does Toni have the discipline to hold this out for a little bit longer and just let them fight over it for a little bit and make up? So, do you have Saraya win the title? And can she handle the workload that goes along with it? And do you immediately have friction in the group and then have, the next feud, which would essentially be Toni Storm versus Saraya? And where do you put Ruby Soho in this? Or do you just have her go for the cover and then Sheeta wins and then they, argue with each other and then the group slowly disintegrates and then the next pay-per-view, you build a storyline to there. They haven't been good with building storylines, historically speaking, so I'm leaning towards... This is hard. This is the hardest one to call. If you may put my feet to the fire, I'm going to lean towards Sheeta winning because they're not going to disrespect her by keeping her as a short-term champion. And Saraya goes for the pin, and there's turmoil. I think they'll do it only because Sheena hasn't had the belt so long. So that's the only reason I'm going to go for that. This is easy. We just spoke in another video about it. House of Black is due to lose. Billy Gunn saves the day. He gets the pin on Malachi. Pandemonium ensues. This is going to be the worst match on the card. I may even fast forward through it. I really don't care. Nobody cared about the returns of, LAX. Eddie should pin Claudio. setting up the ROH title change, and Eddie should already have that belt, to be honest with you. That's really the only thing I see going on here. And somebody, Wheeler Yuta should have already taken that belt off of Orange Cassidy. So this way somebody in Blackpool has a belt. Other than that, whatever. Nobody cares. Get that belt off Cassidy, please. He's the worst. He's the utter shits. This one, it's just because it's Sting. But, there's a lot of faces winning tonight. So, if you think back, right, you got to have the heels win one. And this is a good spot to have the heels win one. So, I would go ahead and let them take this match because there's really nothing on the line here. So it doesn't matter even who gets the pinfall. Christian's pretty cocky. You can go ahead and let him get the pinfall, but him being the vet, why not let Swerve get a pinfall on Sting here? Are you trying to build new stars for the future? Do it smart, So that's what I would do, but you never know with Tony. And then this is a totally different thing, but come on, who's going to win? They keep doing this, right? These are dream matches, but Powerhouse can't lose because he's an up-and-comer, and you already screwed him with the Warlow angle, and you weakened him down, so he has to beat Miro. But Miro's returning, and he hasn't had any matches, so Miro can't lose. So if this were the 80s, I'd have this go to a double countout or a double disqualification. But we know that's not going to happen. So what's probably going to happen is Miro beats Hobbs and Hobbs gets destroyed again. So you never know. Why would Miro sign to come back just to take an L to Hobbs? He was so unhappy about the way he was used. Miro over Hobbs, and that's sad. Although I would double DQ him. And Darby should win here because this would make Luchasaurus. Because in the tag match, Darby already took the L, so he gets the win back, and then Luchasaurus could then lose the title, but he'll say the real TNT champion would then be like, no, Christian Cage is like, no, you have to face me, whatever, and they'll do something about that, and it'll be whatever it is. Notice that we're getting two pay-per-views very close to each other. That is also a very weird thing. Tony doesn't seem to book this very smart, but it is what it is. So, like 2 weeks apart, 1 week apart.